What's up? It's your boy, the Black Andy Cap. Another episode of These Three Things. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ding! Like the video. Jump in the comments because I love the conversations that we have after these are posted. You guys are great. Love to talk. Love the back and forth. Love to hear your thoughts on some of the things that we're talking about here in the video. So today, we're talking about Jon Sumrall and his first kind of month on the job and how he's different from Billy Napier, right? When this hire first happened, all the naysayers were like, oh, here we go again. You went and got a G5 guy from Louisiana. This is another disaster in the making. Okay, I don't believe, or at least from the sentiment I'm hearing, I think most people have put that to the side, right? I think we realize at this point that Jon Sumrall isn't the same guy as Billy Napier. I think there's still some naysayers because he's G5 and the name wasn't as big as they want it to be. Still maybe clutching to that just because they want to hate. Haters got to hate and they got to find some reason to hate, so they going to hate. All right, so, but I think we've put that myth to rest, right? That Jon Sumrall is a much different coach than Billy Napier, all right? And to me, that seems very evident, but there are three reasons I'm going to talk about in this video on why I think we can pretty much say with certainty that Jon Sumrall is not Billy Napier. Number one, all right, the aggressiveness that Jon Sumrall has attacked this job, okay? If you remember when Billy Napier first started, it took him time to hire a staff, okay? And this was the only job he had when Billy Napier came on. Jon Sumrall, much different. Okay, Jon Sumrall was coaching a team in a conference championship game. Then he had to coach that team in a CFP playoff game. Okay, then he had the death of his father, and he was trying to retain key players on his roster. All this was going on, and he was still hiring his staff, and he got that done. Okay, he moved very quickly. If you remember, Billy Napier slugged around with his staff quite a bit, okay? And then, it took years for him to build a staff. He talked about that. He didn't really feel he had his staff really built until he got into his third or fourth year. He went out and hired 2 offensive line coaches, but didn't have an offensive coordinator, right? Special teams never seemed to get that one right. Jon Sumrall, totally different. Went out, hired a staff, boom, 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 got things done. Made decisions, got the program on a foundation, and by the time the portal hit, he had his key pieces in place, and he was ready to hit the portal, right? And then you look at how things went down in the portal, okay? And that's number two. Number two, right, is how he dominated the portal and how he sold the program, okay? Billy Napier never really had much success in the portal. He always had 1 or 2 pieces, but couldn't bring in the talent that you needed. It feels much different with Jon Sumrall. Jon Sumrall lost 30 players to the portal. Now he's got 25 that he's pulled back from the portal, right? There's been some, and let's be real, a lot of those players that left weren't key pieces, but it seems like from when you look at some of the dossier of these players he's bringing in, a lot of them that he's brought in seem to be upgrades at a lot of these positions, right? And he had to do that because he lost some talent. Another thing I'm noticing about the players that he's bringing in is that they've got a lot of eligibility left, all right? So these aren't one-shot, one-kill guys. These aren't one-year rentals. What he's done is he's brought in some players that he can develop over time if he can keep them in the program. And, hey, he's done a good job of keeping some of the big names in the program, right? So, and that's part of the thing. I hear a lot of people saying, well, the Gators don't get big names out of the portal, right? And Jon Sumrall had, well, he got a big-time receiver out of the portal. That was a big deal. But you got to look at the people he keeps, okay? Because Jaden Ball was headed to the portal. By keeping him, that's essentially the same thing as pulling him out of the portal. Jaden Wood kept him out of the portal. That's just as important as pulling him. Those are big names, all right? BB3. Dallas Wilson, all those guys probably considered the portal. I know BB3 kind of stuck tight. He talked about being a Gator from the start, but all those big names that didn't get to the portal, that's just like pulling big names out of the portal. So I think you need to give Jon Sumrall more credit for the names that didn't go in the portal because that's just as important as pulling the names out of the portal. Right now, there's some areas that are still of concern with the portal because the D-line looks a little weak, but as of the last day of the portal, Jon Sumrall looks like he's going to he pulled in a couple of more D-line prospects, guys who didn't get a lot of playing time where they were at. One from Texas A&M didn't play a lot, and then went to Baylor, didn't play a lot at Baylor. So not sure what level of talent it is, but he's filling holes, okay? He's finding ways in the portal to fill holes with quality pieces. So you gotta like that. Thing number three, and probably maybe one of the most important things is the staff that he chose. I've talked about this before about whether or not the hype was real, but Billy Napier couldn't pull the quality of staff that Jon Sumrall has been able to pull. Okay, Buster Faulkner is a huge win. Okay, defensive coordinator, huge win. Something else that I like about what Jon Sumrall's done is he found ways, right, to bring in former Gator players to be a part of the program. That's important, right? You look at successful programs, you got a lot of guys, a lot of coaches who are part of the program. They care, all right? There's a different level when you got guys who played for your program that come back to coach. They care about it. It's who they are, okay? Now, let's look at some of the other things. It's not just the big names, right? OCDC, but he went out and found guys, right? Some of his position coaches, right? Trautwein, right? Come on. How big was that? Achilles heels for the Gators for the past 14 years has been the offensive line. It's been really substandard. Yeah, there's been the last couple of seasons, the quality of the players were really good, and they looked a little better, but Trautwein was a big upgrade at the position and 2-for-1. You had two offensive line coaches prior to this. Trautwein comes in, I think he's better than both of those guys put together. So you've got some assistant, obviously, offensive line coaches, but I think we're going to see much better offensive line play coming up this season because you got better coaches, all right? He's made a focus on special teams, right? Brought his guys over from Tulane, so now you've got a dedicated special teams coach, something Billy never did well. He made the feeble attempt of doing that at the end with some kind of grad assistant type thing or analyst. So when you look at the quality of coaching that Billy's brought in, that Jon Sumrall's brought in, nothing like what we saw from Billy Napier. This is a totally different look and feel. Another bonus. Here we go. We got a bonus. Ding, number 4. I'm giving you a bonus number 4 here. Look at he's straightforward, right? Jon Sumrall is pretty much a straightforward guy. We don't get a lot of coach speak that we got out of Billy. And that's because I think Billy wasn't quite sure of what he was doing or how he wanted to do it. Whereas Jon Sumrall has a path for the program. So when he talks, he's much more direct. He's much more confident. One of the things I liked about that was the whole DJ Lagway situation. After DJ left, he gave an interview and he talked about, hey, I didn't run DJ Lagway off. I told DJ what was expected of him, and DJ made a decision that wasn't for him, right? So Jon, at the time, Jon Sumrall was like, hey man, this is how this program's gonna run. This is what I expect of you. Either you live up to the standard or you don't. And, players make decisions, and it sounds like DJ decided this wasn't the best place for him, and therefore he moved on. That's refreshing, right? Billy Napier was maybe too much of a player's coach, right? He kind of felt like he was babying DJ Lagway a little bit, right? You felt like he was maybe playing favorites. He had the guys on the roster. He felt like these are my guys, and no matter what it was, he was gonna stick with them. And they had positions. There were rumors that there was an issue with that, right? And I think that affected leadership in the locker room. And I think people feed off of that, right? If you're an indecisive or you come across as lacking confidence, the team lacks confidence. And I think we could see that on the football field every Saturday, right? People talked about how this Gator team didn't come out with a lot of energy sometimes. Low energy coach, low energy play on the football field. So maybe he was different in practices, but it just didn't come across, as being gung-ho. Whereas Jon Sumrall, totally different, man. This dude's about toughness. He's done a lot of interviews over the past week and a half. Every interview he's in, the word tough always comes up in the first 60 seconds of every interview that he's had in the last week. I've been listening to them all. The word tough or toughness comes up in the first 60 seconds. You always hear about that. So there it is. All you haters out there that said Jon Sumrall and Billy Napier were the same guy, you're totally wrong. And I've just given you some reasons why. It's pretty obvious these are two different people. Not saying, again, I've said this before, not guaranteeing you a natty, not saying he's going undefeated, but it won't be because he's making the same mistakes that Billy Napier's made. All right? So this is your boy, the Black Andy Cap, for these three things. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ding, like the video, and please jump in the comments. I love having these discussions with you guys. It's been great over the past couple of weeks talking about where the program's headed. Look out for our next couple of videos. We're going to continue to look at some specific stuff, talking about the defense and what we should expect out of the defense. Also, a video's already out there talking about Buster Faulkner and what we should expect from the offense as well. Might find a couple of things interesting about that. But anyway, we out. This is your boy, the Black Andy Cap. Peace.